Hello, Paul. A challenging December. How do you reflect back on the month before we look ahead to what January might hold?
Yeah, probably frustration, I think. Some really good performances that deserved more in terms of points on the board. So it is frustrating to kind of play well, create chances and not really kind of get points that you think that you deserve from those performances. So yeah, December, I was really pleased with the Melbourne victory because we had obviously the whole scenario of the Ferns coming back, and I thought getting a point there and playing well was a really good result. And then we've kind of had this frustration with the Adelaide away game and the Sydney away game where we probably did enough to get something from the match. So yeah, we've talked a lot about that and kind of how we can adapt and how we can improve ourselves in terms of turning those performances into more points and having more control in those games across 90 minutes as opposed to kind of maybe just halves. So yeah, things for us to work on.
I think you said words to the effect of, after the last game, that this team's learning how to be a confident football team, learning how to boss games when you are in a position to do so. Is that a work in progress that you're quite keen to see progress?
Yeah, of course. Like, it's what we want is that kind of full 90-minute domination of the ball and chances and control. So we've been talking a lot about what control means and how we get it and working. So we've kind of changed up training this week a little bit. We've done quite a lot more individual and unit-based stuff because some of the things that are stopping us from kind of getting that extra bit of control are technical and decision-making. So we've been really focusing hard on that. I think we're pretty good with the structure now, and so it's just about adding those final pieces, and then I think you'll see like that start to flourish a lot more. So that's the target for the second half of the season, is to try and have more dominance in games, more control over longer periods of time, but then also to use that control to create goal scoring chances and put them away.
So January's a month where you've got games against three sides who are all currently in the bottom four. So do you see it as a month where perhaps you might, I mean, not that you're still third, but re-establish yourself in the upper echelon of the table?
Yeah, I think when you're in that position, you want to try and stay connected, and I think that's important. But what I'm learning about the A-League Women's this season is I don't know if there even is a bottom and a top. It feels like everyone beats everyone or takes points of everyone. So it's hard. You can't really go into a game and say, oh, these guys are bottom, so we should, win this game, because that's just not the case. Like we saw Canberra midweek, get a point away at Sydney. It's just like everyone's beating everyone, taking points off everyone, so competitive from top to bottom. And away games are hard. 16 wins out of 62 games away from home this season tells you how hard it is to win away in the A-League. And so I think that's a massive factor as well. And it's a huge challenge for us now because we've got 4 away games in a row.
We've seen Isabel Cox used in an impact role since her arrival. Is she someone you might consider for a starting role at some point in the next couple of games?
Yeah, she did great when she came on against Sydney. I think really give us a positive influence, give us something a little bit different. We saw the pace and the power and that kind of direct running, and that causes defenders problems. No one likes to play against that type of player, So it's great. She's kind of hit the ground running. So yeah, I think she's very much kind of in the thoughts for starting, and hopefully she can have the same kind of impact on the game as she did against Sydney. But we don't have her for the second game against Central Coast. That's kind of a pre-empted break where she's going to a wedding back in America for her sister. So we kind of knew that when we signed her. So we know that we've kind of only really got her for this Brisbane game as part of this kind of little trip overseas now for the next week.
Mariana Speckmeyer, she got a couple of goals, obviously, or got a goal and set one up in the previous game. Had an opportunity to get you a point the other night and wasn't able to hit the target. Do you talk with her about her in front of goal, procedures and things like that? Try and work out why, for example, that header wasn't on target? Yeah,
look, it's a delicate situation because as a coach you're frustrated that those chances don't go in, but equally for her, she's just as frustrated and just as kind of angry of herself for not putting them in. There's an unspoken kind of part of it, you don't need to go mad and kind of criticise and go over the top of it, because we both know kind of it should be better and it can be better, and she's capable of doing that. So we're just really talking about her processes and kind of like mentality towards it. And one of the things that we've kind of spoken about, because this has kind of been going on and talked about for a week or two, is just the bravery of putting yourself in the position and not shying away from getting in the box and putting yourself there for those chances. And I think she deserves a lot of credit for that. Like, she's not backed away from anything. She's being brave. She's getting in the box. She is getting the chances. She obviously wants to score the goals, and it's just about kind of tidying up the final process really, and kind of attacking the ball with that mentality to score. And it's something that she's kind of working on, but I'm really pleased with how she's continuing to be brave enough to kind of be in those situations. And then in between that, you've sort of seen, like, she had that penalty against the Jets where I think you just see like she is very composed, and I think like now it's just about bringing that into the game more often when those chances come. So yeah, it's something we're working on together, but I don't see the point in kind of berating her about it. I think she knows perfectly well kind of what's going on.
Riley Foster, can you give us an update on her fitness?
Yep, she's good to go. Like, I think the important bit was to kind of make sure that obviously we abide by the rules when it comes to concussion. The head knock's a serious thing in football. We need to kind of take that seriously. There was kind of she passed all the tests during the game to finish the match, and then post-game there was some slight stuff that was a little bit delayed. It wasn't really like what I think would be termed as like a big concussion. It was very mild, and potentially like she could have played, but the rules in the competition are that it's a 7-day stand down period, and in this case we're just protecting Riley as well. But she's pretty much been good since the game in Sydney. She was with us over there, and she was good. So yeah, she'll be back in contention this week.
And we're getting to the stage of the season now where you're starting to play teams for a second time, so you've got to get a bit of intel, I guess. You've beaten Brisbane once already this season. Anything that came out of that win? I think that was when ALeague got her goal at the end.
Yeah, it was.
That will be helpful on Sunday?
Yeah, that was in the review this morning. We shared the goal and just said, just do that. That's that's really the best thing. Yeah, look, it is interesting now. We do play those teams a second time, but since we played Brisbane, they changed the coach, and Alex Smith has kind of changed the formation and a little bit of like the playing style, and they're also in a stage where they're kind of developing their game. So it's kind of a little bit like a new team, this one, to a degree, but you've got a much more better idea of like the players. You know, like Corbin scored a few goals recently and is doing a really good job for them as a 9, and you know kind of what Yallop's going to give you running from midfield, and so you start to get to know a little bit of, you know, what you're playing against, and it becomes a little bit more kind of individual battles on the pitch and preparing for those as opposed to kind of the overall tactical picture, I think.
And after this game, you'll stay in Australia. You've got the Unite round where everybody goes to Sydney, but you're staying on in Australia after this game, is that right?
Yeah, we're staying on in Australia. We're going to spend the week in the Gold Coast between the Brisbane and the Unite round in Sydney. Yeah.
Just one from me as well. How's Hayley pulled up after that pretty nasty blow to the nose?
Yeah, pretty good. She's been a little unwell this week, so we're just kind of managing a little bit of sickness through the team. That one seems to be kind of hanging around a little bit at the moment, but the nose is fine. Yeah, so no problem. It's a pretty nasty whack. I think, again, she was so keen to go back on, and we wanted to try and get her back on because she was playing well, but the physio and the doctor sort of said it was going to take 5 or 6 minutes to clean her all up. She had blood on every item of her kit, so she'd fully get changed, and we just felt we couldn't afford 6 minutes with 10 men, so we decided to make a change. But yeah, she was keen to go back on, bless her, but she's pulled up fine with that.